they saw that she is black, obviously, and then they started swearing on her, calling her names. When they will say it, they will really apologize. I'm so sorry, but I can't understand anything you are saying. And someone will put it out to you, sorry, you have a terrible accent. That's the words. These are the things I experienced. She was like, all right, go ahead, you can call her, but I'm sure she won't hear any word you are saying because you have this. Hi guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. If you're seeing me for the first time, I'm Intentional Favor, and on this channel I share my life experiences on issues pertaining to faith, lifestyle, studying abroad, and social work. So please, if you'd like to join us in this family, you are more than welcome to do so. Just hit the red subscribe button below as well as the notification bell so that I get notified each time I upload new videos. And to you, my amazing returning subscribers, thank you guys so much for coming back always. So guys, in today's video, I'll be addressing a question I have gotten time and time again. People have been asking me this question for the longest time, and I'm glad that finally I'm addressing that in this video. And that's about experiencing racism here in the United Kingdom. In case you are seeing me for the first time, actually I'm an immigrant in the United Kingdom, and I started my journey here as an international student 2 years ago when I came in for my master's in social work, and by God's grace I completed it. I got a job that gave me visa sponsorship, and I'm now a skilled worker here in the United Kingdom practicing social work. So in this video I'll just be sharing with you guys my experience of racism, if at all I've experienced it in my years of living here in the United Kingdom, especially as a social worker. Yeah, so of course, as a social work student, you always have opportunity to have placements. First one during your first year if you are doing master's program, and second year, and then if you are doing undergraduate program, you tend to have your first placement during your second year and the second one during your final year, or it might differ depending on the university anyways, but you have opportunities for placement. And social work, if you know what social workers do, you find out that we actually work with people. We tend to work with human beings, and yeah, we then tend to meet people. So definitely in one way or the other, you will come across people of different race, religion, and different social identities. Personally, having been a student and now a social worker, I've had feelings that sometimes maybe I would say that I've experienced more of unconscious bias. Yeah, I think racism is actually on the deeper side of it. I've not really experienced, because one thing about the United Kingdom I like is the fact that, you know, racism is unacceptable here. Okay, and of course, saying that something is unacceptable in every country, I don't think robbery, theft, murder, kidnapping, I don't think all of those things are acceptable. Yet you find people that do it, if that makes sense. So the fact that racism is not acceptable, okay, or there are still people, okay, who will still do it. And like everything in every nation, there are some extra like places that things are out of place. So I don't think UK as a country, there are racism exists, but it's not prevalent as you can have it in some other nations of the world, because to a great extent it is really under control, and maybe people tend to oblige more than maybe in some countries. So of course, without doubt, there is racism in the United Kingdom. But when you compare it to some nations of the world, you find out that it's not really that serious. So on a personal note, I wouldn't say that I've experienced racism here in the United Kingdom. I have had some elements of unconscious bias. I'm trying now to look for a way or to define unconscious bias. In case you don't know what it is, you can check it up online, but just that way, that just like you know the word bias, when you are biased, and this one is unconsciously, maybe if that makes sense. So when you are biased, so sometimes you might unconsciously tend to favor people of like people that share the same identity with you. Take for instance, I'm a Nigerian, okay, it's easier, like we all have, every human being, we actually have elements of unconscious bias, because that's why it's called unconscious. You just find yourself doing it unconsciously. If I would tend to favor a Nigerian than I will favor a British, for instance. It just comes unconsciously, okay? It's just when you are conscious of that you tend to avoid all of that. But unconsciously, you have that tendency of favoring someone. That's the bias, and that bias is unconscious, if that makes sense. So outrightly, I've known, but like I said, it's not like it's not in existence. I remember during my second placement in the local authority, we usually have meetings where students on placement, we come together, we discuss, we share our experiences, and we encourage one another. And then I remember one African girl, she's not from Nigeria, but I can't remember what country she's from, where she was sharing her experience of racism. So because of course, if you know what social workers do, we tend to go out, we work with people, we visit them at home, we see the children, we see the parents and all of that. So when she went to see this particular family, she knocked on the door, and of course from the window they saw who it was, and they saw that she is black, obviously, and then they started swearing on her, calling her names, you black, all of those words I wouldn't want to use here because of YouTube guidelines. But it was very sad. I remember her describing it that way, and I was seated where I was. I'm like, seriously? I just tried to put myself in her shoes, and I was like, will I really be able to? Like, it felt so painful. Even the British among us, everybody was like, what? Like, it was so bad, because most times as students, when you're on placement, the one thing that we experience is how service users will tend not to want to work with us because we are students. They usually look down on us. So sometimes you see them make some comments like, please, I need a qualified social worker. You can't allocate a student to me. I don't need, I want someone, a professional, I want this. Those are the kind of things you experience. So imagine, in addition to that, also making comments about your skin color and calling you names and swearing at you. So when she said that, it sounded so bad, and I felt for her. But personally, because maybe then I wasn't actually doing much of direct work with families, I had few cases where I did that, because I was primarily in MASH, Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, where we screen referrals that come through. I didn't have that experience. Now I've been practicing for the past 6 months in the UK, and like I said, no one has made any racist comments on me. Or what I usually get sometimes is that some attitude, I'll call it attitude rather than say it's racism. So I remember one time then during my placement, then I remember this vividly. It has stuck to my memory that I can't forget that experience because of how it played out. So most times on March, we make phone calls to gather information, just to screen referral, triangulate, and then make decision and our recommendation. So I remember calling this mom, and when I called her and I was speaking with her, she just kept talking about my accent. She just kept talking about my accent. She was like, I'm sorry, I can't really hear you. I try my best sometimes when I'm speaking with service users. Probably in a video, I'll share my struggles as an immigrant, like practicing social work in the UK. But I think the highlight of it is about my accent. The major struggle is my accent. Now, many times, really, believe me, people hear me. I'm not kidding you. 90 to 95% of people I've worked with, colleagues are like, they hear me. And most times I just try to speak slowly, so that of course they can pick the words I'm using. But I always know it when someone is trying to give me an attitude by trying to, especially when you're asking them questions, they will rather avoid your questions by using your accent against you. So this particular mom, she was telling me, sorry, and most times the way they will say it, they will really apologize. I'm so sorry, but I can't understand anything you are saying. I mean, sometimes I'm like, that's extreme. You can't say you can't understand everything I'm saying, okay? And someone will put it out to you, sorry, you have a terrible accent. That's the words. These are the things I experience, especially about accent. You have a very terrible accent. I'm sorry, my love. You cannot do this. And some of them, they'll be saying it in a good way, my love. Here they call people love. Everybody is my love. So, like, that's actually the experience. And then afterwards, I said, okay, I'll try and explain myself again. Just listen. I'll try my best so that you can understand me. I actually knew at that point she was avoiding my questions anyways. So I just slowly spoke to her, and then I told her, okay, I need to speak with your daughter because this is actually a young person. I think she's like 15 or 16. And I said, okay, can I speak to her? If you don't mind. Of course, I need to get her consent before I could speak with her daughter. And then she went on, say, if I can't understand you, I doubt if she will understand you. I'm sorry, she won't understand anything you are saying. So it will be a waste of time you calling her. I was like, seriously? Of course, I don't have to buy to that. I still insisted. I said, okay, don't worry. You leave that to me. When I call her, we'll see if she understands me, okay? But I just need you to give me that consent for me to speak with her. She was like, all right, go ahead. You can call her, but I'm sure she won't hear any word you are saying because you have this. I was like, okay. Okay, so of course, why I remember this story is because after all this that this woman said, I spoke with her daughter. Guys, believe me, this girl didn't even ask me to repeat any word. I spoke with her like the longest time. It wasn't just a quick call because, of course, I was trying to obtain her voice and hear what she has to say about the incident that she was aware of. And of course, I had a very good conversation with this young person. She spoke well. She heard me. She answered all my questions. She wasn't even giving me, because usually what I used to experience with young people then is that they give one word answer. Okay, but this girl, we really conversed. We had a very proper conversation and she could hear me. I remember when I dropped that call, I just went to my supervisor because she was sat just behind me. I said, God, just imagine what happened now. And of course, because I'm like, wow. And this mom actually told me that she didn't hear everything and her daughter will not hear me. Lord, look at how it played out. Anyways, that's why I remembered it. So that's one out of many cases whereby people tend to, talk down on me because of my accent. And sometimes, during that my second placement, it became an issue for me because whenever I want to make calls, my heart is pumping. I know my job very well. Even till now, for some reasons, whenever I want to make calls, I usually panic because sometimes I prefer face-to-face conversation because we can sort ourselves out, but over the phone, I don't know why it usually sounds different. So because of that, whenever I want to make calls, I used to panic. I'm always worried. Not because I don't know what to say, not because I don't understand my job or I'm not good at it, but sometimes because of that, at some point, I find myself stammering. Yes, I start stuttering, like because of that consciousness about my accent. But anyways, how I'm able to deal with that is just to try and talk slowly as much as I can. And the thing makes me like sometimes, you tend to try to speak like them. I grab some of their accents, like the way they don't pronounce T. So many times, yeah, that's what I do a lot. I just omit the letter T because they always omit the letter T just to sound like them. Yeah, so that's actually the height of bias I've experienced, not necessarily racism. No one has made a racist comment to me, talk to me about my color, about my skin. No, the only experience so far is speaking on my accent. They pick on my accent, and of course, I'm hoping because I think with time I'm getting better. Sometimes, what I do when I'm practicing or when I'm talking with people, I tend to ask them, do you understand me? Like, do you hear what they say? Yeah, very well, and if they don't, they say, oh, sorry, pardon, and of course, I take my time, speak slowly, and I talk to them, and the conversation goes on and on. But I've had people, like I shared with you, the student during my placement who has, and it depends on the people you meet. And of course, I'm one kind of person that I don't like generalization. So I will not say because my experience when I will now say that, in the UK, this is that, or this is not. I'm actually aware of the fact that many people are experiencing racism here in the UK. But believe me, most times what you tend to have here is unconscious bias. That bias that maybe once they see you that you are the allocated social worker for their children, they are not happy just because you are someone of color. Not that they have anything against you, but just that unconscious bias about your color. Look at the person handling. Just the same way they are biased about having a professional and a student also as a newly qualified social worker. I've had some experiences. I remember somebody, just because they know that I'm a newly qualified social worker, any small thing, please, I need to speak with your senior. I need to speak with a professional. I need to speak with a professional. Please, I'm sorry, but I need to speak with, I'm like, I'm a professional. Hello, I'm a qualified social worker. So you are speaking with a professional. Yeah, I need someone higher than you. Those are attitudes. That's what I'll call them. And it's best. So let's say that I've met let's just say like all the cases I've handled, people I've worked with as a social worker before qualification and after qualification in the UK, I'll just tell you that 90% of them are so good. I've worked very well with them. They enjoyed my services. They speak good about me. And yeah, then the rest are just those that give me attitude as a result of maybe unconscious bias, or they just have attitudinal issues. You know what I mean? So that's actually my experience. So if you ask me really, UK is not a bad country when it comes to racism. I know there are so many countries that height of racism is like the height of it is so bad. But here in the UK, it's in existence, okay? But personally, as a social worker, I really have not. And I hope this video has encouraged you in case you are looking forward to studying social work in the United Kingdom, or coming over to practice social work in the UK, or you are currently an international student and you are worried about all of this. I want to believe this story has encouraged you. So you don't need to really be worried. Let that not be your fear, because you may not have the experience. And even if you do, the best approach is to report to your manager. Tell your manager about that and learn to shun receipts. Just tell them you won't take that. Even though I'm a student, or maybe I'm a newly qualified, when people make some comments about me, about all of this, I'll just tell them I'm not going to take that with you. I'm actually a professional. I know my job very well. But if you're not okay working with me, that's fine. You can do this, but just make it clear. Don't be accepting of anything they said to you just because you think that you are inferior to them. You are not. Remember, you are the professional out there. You are the one there. So just make sure that you don't accept everything and just look down on yourself. And I want to believe that you enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, don't forget to give it thumbs up, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you have not, and also leave comments in the comment section. Let me hear your views. Have you experienced racism here in the United Kingdom, and what are your thoughts about racism in the UK, generally speaking? I'll be seeing you guys in my next one. Until then, stay blessed, remain intentional, and take care of yourself. Bye.